Special meeting of March 20th. We have Kim Dunsmore, Mike Roth, Dave Tiersteg, Ben Peters, Bill Lovis, myself, Michael Gary, and Craig Schulte. All here.
Gang's all here.
Great. We're all together. We are going to go over, for the most part, these are choices and approvals for some of the related costs to our new city hall and liquor store. Is that the theme of tonight's meeting? Summarized okay? We have, and Dave, you're here with the finals on your public restrooms that you've discovered. Then we have the asbestos abatement, and then the digitizing disposal of documents and prep as well. All right. First up is the quotes for the ADA design portable restroom trailers. You were able to find some more, maybe better choices?
Well, I have options. We have options.
Okay.
Is the good news. And which is something we need, I think, when we're making a purchase this big.
Okay. No, that doesn't matter for that, I guess. I couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
I don't know why I couldn't. It's like,
Can you put down the microphone so we
Also,
can
I
hear
think
you?
where we left off last week was, the motion to proceed with the purchase of an ADA design trailer.
Yep.
The trailer that we just, like the demonstration or the example that was provided last week was from the Satellite Suites company. And that's this what they call the 19-foot ADA plus 2, right? So it would provide a total of 3 stalls, an ADA stall, a men's stall, and a women's stall. And that, I've got a price for $95,280. However, this is on a 14-week lead time for current orders, and that would be like late June.
Okay.
So that's the Satellite trailer for $95,000.
Okay.
Jag was the recommended brand, and so that's the second set of quotes. We've got 2 prices from Jag. One of them very similar to the Satellite in a 16-foot ADA plus 2, 85,000 approximately, 86,000. Available mid-May.
Okay.
They also provided a quote for a larger unit, of approximately 29-foot trailer that provides for a total of 10 stations, an ADA plus 9. I believe that was coming in the 128,607.
So is that still in the same time frame?
Late May,
Okay.
end of May.
Okay.
So that's Jag. And then a third option, the Portable Restroom Trailers LLC, who was referred by Jag. So all these companies are, in competition with each other, but when I was going over some of my needs with the Jag spokeswoman, saleswoman, she was saying, well, you should look up this company too, Portable Restroom Trailers LLC, and they have prepared, currently they have 2 of these in stock, the ADA plus 6. And that's larger package, larger trailer, a total of 7 stations, and a price of $107,980. And that is available currently, could be in place, as soon as we order it, or once we order it. Shipping's they've got a promotion right now, 1,000 miles free shipping. I believe they're in Indiana. So that would be covered, and that would be available at the start of the season in May.
I was just trying to look up our sheet from before to make sure I remember what we were sitting at. So, of the option 2 that we looked at, or went with in scope of criteria, that was 95.8. Just get a, where we're at now with that.
Yeah, that's that first quote, that Satellite ADA plus 2 19-footer.
And that was.
But that's a 14-week lead time, so that's not available till late June.
No, I know, I just meant like to get the criteria, you know, that was our
Yeah.
price point we were working off of, so I just trying to remember what that was, and that had 3 stalls. So now, we still have, is that 3 stalls plus ADA?
No,
That was all
88 plus
together.
2.
2,
Yep,
okay.
3 total.
So then we have 3, no, we have 1, so it's hard to page through this. So, oh, that's the same one, as I'm going through again. Then you have a much bigger one.
And, or, well, the 2 quotes from JAG are for a similarly sized ADA plus 2
Okay,
for approximately 86,000,
okay.
or a much bigger one, a ADA plus 9 for 128.
All right, and that's what I was looking at. Just
That's
trying to
Jag.
get back to these to get, oh yeah, there's the 8. So, these aren't page numbered. 1, 2, 3, on page 4, is that right? There's the 2 quotes. So the first one's the 86.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have that right? Okay. And that would be similar to what we looked at before and ready sooner,
Correct, mid-May.
and a little bit less. And then there's the much larger one for more, and I feel like I'm talking about a bowl of bag of cereal. And then there's a in-between sized one from portable restroom trailers that gets you more, like it's not, one is 9, this one's 6. I mean, the pricing sits in the middle, right?
Yep.
So for,
The portable restroom trailer is actually a total of 7.
okay.
They just, this seems to be the industry, they have the ADA stall plus 6.
So, okay, that's that last one.
Okay.
But that one's available the soonest, right?
It is in stock.
And we're looking at another 612 difference. 12 grand gets you, am I doing my math right?
86.
95. I'm still working off the 95. Maybe that's not the right way to do it.
I would rule out the 95,
Okay.
given its lead time,
Yep.
Yep, okay.
as we can get a very similar model for 86 mid-May.
Yep.
So,
And-
right, I would say it would be between the 3 stall for 86 mid-May, or the 7 stall for 108.
8. So roughly, that would be another 20 if we wanted 4 more. Okay, just so we know,
Yep.
like, that way.
Yep.
And then, is there any other considerations to these?
There is.
Okay.
Portable restroom trailers offer a buyback program.
Okay,
And this is intriguing, because this might be something we're interested in, or it's just definitely worth discussing. The buyback program is through portable restroom trailers. That's the 7 stall for 108. If you purchase a new trailer through them, and within 12 months, you must contact us when you've had the portable restroom trailer for 12 months. The purchase and pricing is subject to condition determined at the inspection. The inspection, they must have power and water. They will pay up to 80% of the retail purchase price. And so I spoke with the salesman on this. I said, yeah, 80% is like the best case scenario. What's an average?
Yeah.
Couldn't
Yeah.
give me one.
okay.
Okay.
I said, well, what are the criteria? What do you judge? Oh, you know, obviously like wear and tear. And so I'm sorry to be vague on what percentage would qualify for a buyback, but you'd want to probably say, I don't know, 20 to 80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 20 to 80.
Well,
There you go.
Or we don't consider that as a factor because we want to keep this. It's like,
or we just sell it ourselves. Because, I mean,
ADA trailers are hard to sell. I did find this out.
Okay.
They're niche. We talked about this last week. They're niche. They're hard to set up. They need flat ground, flat pads. And most of the privateers going to events and weddings and concerts, et cetera, don't have that luxury of a flat gravel parking lot like we have, right? They're setting up on a slope. And so the standard trailers that are up on wheels that you can, level to fit the slope are what the industry prefers from a resale perspective.
That's interesting, because all the events I've been with, they're in more of an urban setting, and that's not a problem
Yeah,
at all.
parking lots.
Yeah,
And they're sitting in maybe even a cement piece.
yeah,
So, but either way, I always look at it like, okay, I'm in business. If I'm gonna buy back, I'm still gonna come ahead. Either that because I know I'm gonna resell it. There'd be no reason to buy it back if they didn't think they could sell it, which counters the whole conversation about there's no resale value, or
True.
they wouldn't be doing this. Right? So I don't know, I'm always leery of those, it's like,
I am
no
too.
one's in here for charity purposes.
To me, the point is there is a market for it, and we'll be able to sell it. And whether or not we decide we want to do it or they're just going to buy it is the same as bring your car to the dealership or sell it yourself. It's just how much time and effort do we have to put into it versus how much value do we want to get out of it. But it's nice to know that if we decide this isn't a good idea or it was a great idea for this summer but we're not going to need it anymore, that there's an exit strategy.
Yeah. Okay, other things, and I don't discount it at all, but I always kind of sit in the middle on those
No.
kind of deals,
Yeah.
because there could be something to it. Or like you said, it just makes it easier.
Yeah.
Like if I don't want a deal,
mm-hmm.
and then I'm done. Anything else about, let's just stay on this one for a minute. Is there something else really cool about this one? Like, is it more durable, or anything else you thought was?
What stands out to me is the tankage, the wastewater tank being at 600 gallons, right? Like, this is a piece of the puzzle of pumping and frequency of pumping, and something Pete Greshik was aware of when he was speccing a possible lease. He went for the big 8-station trailer because it had a 600-gallon tank, and we estimated that would need, once a week pumping.
Okay.
Now, if we scale back at a 3-station trailer, those have more like 330-gallon tanks. When you look at the spec on the 3-stall, it's 110 gallons for the 88 stall, and it's 220 gallons for the other 2 stalls. So a total of 330-gallon tank.
On this, I just want to keep on the same path. So I go back to the $86,000
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
Now
That's
I'm
got a
looking at 300.
Yeah, 330-gallon tank across 2 different tanks. No doubt it'll need pumping more often. And again, we've said this last week, this is unknown territory for us. We don't know how often a 600-gallon tank will be pumped, for instance, but Pete's estimate was weekly. I think he bases that on the amount of porta potties that he provides and sort of the tankage of those. But those don't use fresh water for flushing or hand washing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Right.
going to have more.
Plus, this summer, in theory, they are going to get used because there's no other bathrooms with running water. I could see them being very attractive to most people to want to use, which is the whole point, because we do want to offer them a real restroom experience. So, yeah, I would assume.
So the tankage was a factor for us. We thought bigger tanks the better, and that you have in the 7-station portable restroom trailer option. Both the freshwater tank being at 225 gallons, that's twice the size of the freshwater tank on the 3-station, because that too is a service.
Okay.
But it's still about 100 gallons per hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
It's hard to know if it correlates, the amount of traffic it's going to get versus
Right.
the amount of space it has, just because the same number of people need to go and are going to be there. So maybe it just deals with it faster, but generates the same amount of waste. So a bigger tank would be very handy.
Yeah,
Now,
Your tank is very handy.
For sure.
I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
Now, if you think about the number of units we're currently offering, however, in our permanent structure, which is going to be closed starting in a week and a half, it's more like the 88 plus 2. It's not very big, even though it's it's inside and permanent and sink. It doesn't have that many units, which is why we've had to augment it.
Mhm.
Yep.
So that's the other unknown is, are we going to need as many porta potties this year if we buy one of these things? maybe there's some savings there too.
Yeah, because I'd asked you the other week why the quote was actually lower this year. And I wasn't really sure, because,
Oh, it's just the budgeted item. So in our city parks, portable toilet budget is $18,000 for 2024, more or less a placeholder. Generally, we spend around $18,000. Last year, it happened to come in at 19.7 was what we ended up paying G&G for the 12 to 15 that normally live downtown, May to October. That's, you know, we probably undershot that number for this year, although now everything's kind of up in the air on what that'll actually cost if we go this route and it's pumping versus renting a porta.
Yeah. And we're not gonna put a bunch of them down in Boulder Park in the Point if we've got this thing sitting there.
I can't say, because what if a 3-stall isn't enough? That's one, I would say, legitimate concern on like going small with a 3-stall trailer, is that it's just not, can't handle it. We gotta pump it every other day. We coulda, shoulda put 2 or 3 porta potties next to it.
Yeah.
You know, that'll still then end up costing us
Yeah.
$300 a month for each, and
well, I mean, we're still gonna have porta potties up at the Point, right?
yeah,
Because, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a given.
All the way out, yeah.
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 by Coast Guard, yeah.
Yeah. And then, where else?
Boulder,
Boulder.
and then next to City Hall.
Is the 3, yeah, that's the 3
Mhm.
spots. And this year,
Mhm.
there'll be nothing by City Hall, period.
Well, the contractors better have one.
They'll have
Right, but not.
But inside the
public.
gate, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
But no, it would be Boulder and Coast Guard, and the logic is this trailer would replace the Boulder porta potties.
right. And we would normally
And the
have how
city
many
hall.
at
Repeat
Boulder?
again, how many are normally at Boulder?
Yeah,
It ramps up and down, like 2, and then 4, and then 6, and then 4, and then 2.
And we still might need to ramp it up for events.
right.
Well, yeah, yeah, we know that the events, they have to have more. But a maximum of 6 is what you put there. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, and this is, the portable restroom one, that's 7 altogether, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So if we put the 7 there, then that kind of replaces City Hall, because City Hall now has,
One apiece. While men's is like a stall and a urinal,
yeah,
ladies is just a stall.
We also have one apiece inside. Some people know about that and come in, so
Okay.
those will be gone too.
Oh, never mind.
okay.
So I'm just looking at your option 1 from before for just porta potties. And even, it looked like you were thinking about 8 plus an ADA. You had
Mhm.
7 to 9, let's say.
Mhm.
That's still less than, just under $20,000. So even if we got rid of maybe half of that, right? That's what you're thinking we might not need if we,
Mhm.
well, maybe it's more
Although
than that.
that's
'cause you
just
said
for
6.
Boulder, because then there's still another 4 at Coast Guard.
Right, so I mean, this was just your quote to, if we did just for these purposes.
Mhm.
I was just trying to get an idea, like, how much would there be how much savings of porta potties if we decided we didn't need, if we went for a larger trailer that didn't require any more additional porta potties, what would be what did that really cost us? So, I mean, what are we absorbing? Boy, can't I talk at all.
You're doing fine.
I think you're on it, and
Yeah.
I think 20's the number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, we're still looking at, you know, a trailer plus some porta potties, if we go with the smaller, is what you're thinking.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule that out, or I can't say without knowing, but it would be I
Or,
think, like a 3
Will
station. I
everybody
just don't know if
just-
it would be how quick it'd fill up, you know?
Yeah.
A 3 station with 300-gallon tank might be full every other day.
And it would
I don't know. It's a real strange one, because we're not always that busy.
Right.
well, yeah, it always varies, whatever. I mean, with our luck, we'll go through all this planning, and then some fire watch will be in all summer, and then like no one will be up here, something weird like that. You know what I mean? Just all this effort, and then.
They will definitely rent the trailer from us then.
Oh, yeah, yeah, but then we'll definitely have.
We can sell it to
issues.
Pete for whatever we want, and he'll rent it to them.
Yeah. Well, I also wondered, you know, you put this out there, if I walked up, which choice would I want? I mean, you could put the porta potties next to it, but what is everyone gonna gravitate to, if possible, if they can get in the door?
Mhm.
I would guess, a lot of people, but I don't know how much difference that makes. So if we put some porta potties out there, you thinking that could relieve the stress on how often these would need to get pumped? Is that part of the logic?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And if we talked about last week, a little more security and maybe locking them overnight or at 8 o'clock or something, then I almost feel we gotta have a porta potty next to it for the
Later.
after hours crowd, or we're gonna have a mess right next to it, or vandalism, cause it's locked.
Sure.
Like, I'm still a little bit not quite sure how I feel about locking it, cause it could cause more.
I have no problem with it if it's, I
Yeah.
mean, I've been to a lot of communities and you look around at night and like, nope, public restrooms aren't open at odd hours. Especially, I mean, after hearing that there are people like thinking it's a camping site. I don't need that, I don't think. And if we want to take care of it,
Mm-hmm.
I think most of the trouble comes later, but certainly agree with you to have porta potties that if PD wants them open all night, he can go for it. So, yeah, I'm not like thinking, no matter what size, maybe a couple porta potties there won't hurt. But definitely with cameras and signage that says this is a cameraed. Is that normally what people do on those kinds of things? I mean, they let people know that it's under surveillance, right?
I'm not sure how we're gonna put a camera on this.
No?
Yeah, that's not part of any of this price.
I thought that's what we, well, I know about that. I thought we were going to look into that afterwards for some kind of security.
Mm.
I
We'll need to-
realized it wasn't in their pricing.
We'll need to
but-
connect to somebody's building and internet to do that. Well, we can keep talking about that.
Yeah.
Either that, or are there other locations we can look at that are more centralized or more visible to the general public, as opposed to a place that people think no one's seen them?
It's tough to think of a good compromise. We have like a thought exercise about what's the continuum there, and one of them is behind the trees in the gravel lot in Boulder Park. It's not, there's no more isolated and yet still convenient to access spot than that. And then the other one is we could park it on Wisconsin Street next to Harbor Park, and it's out in front of everybody. Everyone will know exactly where it is, and I don't think we'll like it very much there. So, but you know that if we've got a problem, we can always do that. It's got wheels.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's out there, everyone knows where it is, later at night, less chance, and it's one summer, in theory. I mean, not that we couldn't use it other times, but I mean, this one, we are providing a service,
Mhm.
and we need to take care of it, so, I don't know. Just brainstorming of making sure, you know, we don't have to act like we can't take care of our own stuff. Or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's a little concerning to me that we don't have a lot of the detail on this, but we're gonna spend $110,000 figuring it out.
What would you still like to figure out?
Well, I haven't really seen how this is budgeted, for one.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it is, and I think the amount of money that we've been contemplating for the overall project is big enough that something like this fits in it. But did we last year look at a budget that said we're gonna spend $100,000 on a trailer? Absolutely not. We didn't do that. We can afford it, so, but I think that's a different question than do you want to spend it on this? So if you've already decided that you want to spend it on this, we can figure out where the money's going to come from. And, you know, we've got $9-10 million in reserves right now. That the reason it's that high is because we've been building up for this project that we're about to do. And we're spending $2.5 million of those reserves on the project right now. So if that ends up being a little bit more, that's how I would imagine this getting paid for. And then how you want to account for it, like which department should pay for it, is an even different question
Sure.
that we can spend time with.
Right.
I hear what you're saying about unknowns. Like this, for us, I don't know how to tighten this up anymore. We're not in this business and we don't know how to understand what's really going to happen with it. We're just hoping that there's enough of an exit strategy here that if we decide this was a bad idea, we can get out of it without losing the whole thing.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be negative about it at all, because I certainly understand like what's trying to be accomplished, and I think that's fine. But like, we can all point to several examples as things that we've tried with good intention, and then we leave these loose ends that just really are uncomfortable, right? Like weeds on our boulevard on 61 or whatever it is, right? So, you know, we've heard from the park department said, we don't know if we can clean them. We led with that last week. We don't know how we're gonna do that. We have a counselor that said, we can't find custodial help at the hospital either. Like, that's a concern. And now we're going from 2 stall, which is okay, but now we're at 7. What does that look like for that figure for cleaning, right? We're like, what does that look like? And so, anyway, I guess that's probably all I have. More questions than answers, so sorry.
No, and that's what was.
Yeah, they're good questions. We have them, too. This is always a struggle, and it's the council's decision whether or not we're providing this service. And we're trying to arm you with as much information as we can about what that means, what it's going to cost, how we're going to do it, what we're concerned about. I don't think we can make it feel comfortable and safe, because we just don't. There are unknowns that we can't really get to. But if you tell us you want us to do this, then we'll do our best.
Well, we have multiple issues and which we have said repeatedly over time, that goes with this new building. And this is what we're dealing with tonight. This is just one of those topics. And we've had this discussion, maybe not enough times within the council level, but you and I certainly talked about the fact, and I've been talking about it for a whole year, that there's other things that need to be done besides just tearing down a building and putting up a new one. And maybe that has not been well communicated. But these are some of the costs we're considering tonight, like scanning and dealing with all the paperwork that's been accumulating for how many years in this building.
Right.
And there's costs, not as probably as much, but there's costs for Chris to get a liquor store moved and get that building set up and ready to go as well, that we've had to absorb. And there'll be, I mean, you know, right now the liquor store does pay rent to the city, so that's already a line item for them, but this will be more, so there will be, you know, increased and utilities, but it's not like they don't pay rent right now. So there are other side things, and now we've got the asbestos piece. Is there one other, or is that the only thing left? for the
Documents and the asbestos are the next two. Yeah, and they're right in the same theme. They're things, they're either directly related to this building project, like we have to do them, or we chose to do them because of this building project, like the documents, for
Yeah.
instance. Like we designed a building to not have a giant warehouse full of paper, and
Well,
because it's
nobody
more
operates
expensive.
that way
Yeah.
anymore.
No, that's-
It's like, we need to upscale that for sure, whether or not we ever moved. But yeah, these are all the items that still need to be dealt with. And public restrooms has been an ongoing conversation long before we ever decided this, you know, what we would do with this building. And the need has been coming at us from our business community for quite a while, and outside of it. and I still hear about it.
It's interesting to me, the last time we had active public conversation about public restrooms, and that was close to when you were on the council the first time, Tracy. I don't remember how many years ago now that is, 6, 8 years ago, more. It was the idea that we were looking for some kind of compromise solution in between porta potties and brick and mortar building, because we know that's fabulously expensive to build a brick and mortar building to do this. And is there some kind of, and at that point, the idea in our head was maybe a $60,000 portable trailer for restrooms might be the right solution. It didn't come back up again as a priority, and now we've got a catalyst to make this conversation come back up, and we've kind of gone right back to that same concept that we were talking about before.
So I think the thing I still hear the most out of this is how long will we really need this? You know, to me, it has potential for multi-year use. But like you said, there's many unknowns, like how efficient is this to actually utilize and take care of? And then what level of standard of care do we want to give for, I don't care isn't the right word, but, you know, amenity do we want to give to our larger community? So there are unknowns to this, but I think the one thing that's not unknown is we have to provide something, and I believe it's more than a porta potty to get us through this summer. I don't think we're really being respectful of the rest of the business community if we just set a bunch more porta potties to get us through this summer. But
We could draw a map to the co-op. Just
They would love that.
we went through all those conversations too about businesses, and I've already, you know, I'm hearing from businesses that don't want them in. I've actually, one point, wasn't it the Beaver House that said they would welcome people into their restroom? Of course, now it would appear that that would not have been a very good idea.
No, and we're not going to, as the operators of that building.
And I've heard from Birch Bark that they very much so want to make sure that that is in our plan. For that one loud and clear. And of course, Java Moose. As just some of the examples.
Yeah, I guess, you know, the thing that I struggle with is the care and maintenance of them. You know, I wonder how that's gonna happen. We don't really have a solution for that.
Well, what are we doing with the time that was allocated to clean these restrooms that are not getting cleaned this summer?
Yeah, that is the solution. I think we do have a strategy for it.
Okay.
It's just we recognize that strategy carries risks because we're less successful than we want to be sometimes staffing up in the summertime.
Mm. Yeah.
Well, that made me wonder too, you know, thinking about that and realizing those things are real, as they are for all the business owners around here, and it would appear that more J1 people are back in town helping businesses, but that aside, you know, does Chris have extra needs as well? The liquor store does not have good hours, and to me is missing lost sales by closing at 8 o'clock during our prime season and at 6 o'clock on a Sunday. Especially because here, a Sunday night doesn't mean there aren't people wanting to buy liquor. Because a lot of our local population does not live in a Monday through Friday world, and of course neither do our visitors. So is there some way to brainstorm against some of that, to meld some of those together and lead to some opportunities for employment? Whether it be additional help for stocking and moving inventory for Chris, or more people to help him ring up sales, or combined with some cleaning, whatever. Is there something there that could fit together? I don't know.
So for tonight, I think it's safe to say we're not going to get to the answers to all those questions.
Right.
And if we want this to be our strategy for this summer, time is of the essence to make a decision. And that's what we've got in front of you now. I think if you have an idea about what you want to do, it'd be a good time for a motion.
I would assume out of three choices? Did I miss one?
There's 4 total,
Which one am
but
I
we're,
missing?
but we're
there was
writing
one that
offset,
was-
you know, because Satellite Suites is a late June.
Oh, so that's the
We've
one you
set that
still have.
aside.
Okay.
So then we've got from JAG, 2, which is the small 3 stall for 86, the big 10 stall for let's say 130.
Yeah, 130.
Maybe we set that one out. So it's really coming down to 2. The 3 stall from JAG for 86, or the 7 stall from portable restroom trailers for 108.
I have one question for Dave. Say, Dave, what are we currently budgeting for waste removal through Gressick for 2024? You said 18,000?
Yeah, 18,000's in our city parks portable or porta potty budget, 18,000.
Okay. And then I know going into this whole summer, knowing what we were gonna be doing with City Hall and the liquor store, I know I had talked to Mike a few months ago about what do you think we're gonna be doing, or what we could do or should do, or whatever, about adding extra satellites to Boulder Park or to the other areas in the community. Did you have any idea of what those additional satellites, along with your normal budget of 18,000, would come up to be?
Yeah, Craig, I would say that was under option 1 last week. That was the idea that we'd probably put another 4 into Boulder Park, one of them being an ADA design, and
Okay.
so the standard ones are $300 a month, excuse me, so that's $1,200. The ADA is $525 a month, so that's $1,725 per month more. So let's just say $2,000 a month more over 6 months. I mean, it's not a true 6-month equation, because May and October are really slower. It's probably more like a 4-month deal. So maybe
It'd
it's
be
like
$8,000,
approximately.
okay. On top of the 18,
Yep.
okay,
So if,
26,000. My point is, I know we're building this new building and we're gonna triple the size of our bathrooms, and I understand there's a need for, getting us through the summer, with maybe, a better look with the trailer or whatever that gives to people, running water perhaps. My whole concern of this whole thing is, number one, where's the money coming from? Number two, if the money's gonna come from the rec park funds, then I think this whole conversation's gotta kick back to the park board for discussion, and then push to the city hall. If you're gonna take it out of general revenues, then that's something, whatever you're deciding you're gonna be doing with this money. The second thing that I'm thinking about is, I don't know about this buyback thing, but if you're gonna do a buyback thing or sell it on your own or whatever you're gonna do, it appears that obviously this is gonna run about $35,000 for 1 year to use this trailer, which you're probably gonna lose on the purchase of it, not counting the cleaning of it for the summer. So I'm just trying to put a pencil to this thing, thinking, is this a trailer we wanna use for the future until we have to buy another one 15 years down the road? Is it an expense that we want every year? Then we need to budget what cleaning is gonna be of this thing every year, instead of right now we're talking about buying it, but we're not really getting any hard, fast numbers on, is Dave gonna clean it? Is the city crew gonna clean it? You know, that kinds of thing. I mean, they all that stuff costs money. Whereas with the satellite toilet thing, we pay for cleaning, we pay for the toilets. We know what that money is. We know what that budget is. So I guess if we're going to circle back on this thing, I would like to know, okay, Dave, if we buy this trailer, put it in place, your crew's going to clean it. Is that a $20,000, $30,000 cleaning item for the season?
No,
I don't know.
no, we estimated cleaning to be around 7,000 to 8,000. And
Oh,
if it's the current model of the city hall public restrooms is like a split between departments, actually, like the buildings and maintenance department of, Lenny and his crew have principally cleaned the public restrooms in the morning.
right.
And then our custodial crew goes in there and in the let's say late afternoon, 4 to 6 is when
Yeah,
our
well-
crew goes over. So
So
when I
you're
was
doing them once a day then?
twice a day, but
Well, by your department, once
Yeah,
a day. Yeah.
right. But so between two difference. So when I put together those options last week and what was about 8,000 for cleaning,
Yes.
that was on
Yeah.
that like 2 hours a day, averaging $20 an hour for the staffer, so about, $40 a day across the 6 months. And then threw in the paper and toilet paper was another
Yeah.
$750. It's just a rough guess, but it's about 8,000 a summer
Yep.
for 2 hour a day cleaning and toilet paper stocking.
You're still gonna put it, pump it out and haul water,
Yep,
right?
that was a separate price from
That's in there
Pete.
too.
Yep,
And I apologize,
Yeah.
Craig, so I put that in Excel last week just for me to visualize it easier. I mean, he had all those details in what he presented us last week, but I handed them out in paper to everyone who was here, and I just put them on the screen to you, so you didn't get that to look probably more than at that meeting where everyone else did here. But those details were in Dave's notes last week. I just sort of put him in a thing visually to see better for me. So yeah, you had your weekly fill and pump, you had your odor control packets as a line item, and then
Yeah.
your staff time, so they were broken out. And then we just did the lease pieces, and then I put a 3-year total on that, so we'd have an apples to apples on that, since it was a minimum with a lease option.
Okay.
So if I think of the difference, just trying to look at it from a money perspective of having more stalls, and I know you said it's really hard, we're guessing completely, I get it. But would the larger stalls mean, in theory, less pumping, so maybe it would,
I feel like the pumping fee would be pretty similar to what we presented last week, because that's something Pete supplied based on his 8-stall, 600-gallon estimates.
so let's just say let's say it was the 86. And then if they have to be pumped more than the 100, than the larger one, that's that sits right in the middle then, another $9,000 sits right in between, like one doesn't then absorb the other.
If it has to be pumped twice as much, yeah, it could be 18 instead of 9.
So you might end up almost in the same space, but
It's
we
pretty
just don't
close.
know.
Cleaning's the same idea, like the 7 would obviously take more time to clean. Twice as much.
But pumped half as frequently.
And stocking supplies, I mean,
Well,
s-
I mean, you should be able to whip through a small space without doubling your time, but.
yeah, you'd be surprised.
A lot of tight corners in those with 7 instead of just 3.
I'm worried about a utility closet that doesn't include a mop, a splash sink, like ugh,
Yeah.
actually like setting up a cleaning buggy with our own water on it to use for mopping.
Yeah, I was looking at some of those kind of tools when she did that,
'Cause
to see what kind of
for the
tools
most
give
part-
her that kind of a space.
Yeah.
And I saw some that you can do that
There's a
way.
utility room, but it doesn't have like a sink and a
Mhm.
splash sink and a mop.
Gotcha.
And like what we found out online is these are sort of like the weekend rentals that then come back to the shop to get cleaned. Like for the operators that are used to running these,
Mhm.
they put them out on site for the, wedding,
Mhm.
and then they bring it home to clean it.
Sure.
So I haven't found a lot of like examples of this being
Municipal
like a
use.
municipal
Right.
public restroom that,
It's primarily stationary.
yeah.
I've seen some with businesses that have a lot of traffic and don't have inside restrooms where they'll just put one in the parking lot and it's there permanently.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a way to do it. We just don't have an understanding of it because we haven't done it yet, right? So we don't know how easy it's going to be to clean or what we're going to need to do. I'm every confidence that our staff's going to be able to handle it, but
Just a little touch.
it's just going to take some adjusting.
Yep. Yeah, I've used them in restaurants when they were under construction and they had you go outside. Well, those are sitting there all the time.
So there's no doubt that buying the trailer is more expensive. It's a higher service level, and so it makes sense that it would cost us more to provide a higher service level. But it's not exactly more expensive the way that it's laid out here, because we're talking about eating that whole capital cost year one. And if we think we're gonna own this thing for 5 years, we really ought to depreciate it over that time instead. And so that 20,000 we're spending on porta potties is every year, period. And to put this trailer there instead, it's not $140,000. It's probably more like $50,000 every year to own the trailer and to maintain it. So it's definitely more, but it's not the whole thing every year more like we're looking at on the spreadsheet. So that's something to keep in mind too. And we can't really say, is it a 10-year lifespan on this thing, or is it 5, or is it 2? But it's definitely not 1, all right? If we have it for 1 and we get rid of it, we're going to get some value out of it. We don't know what it is, but we get something.
Mhm.
Well, would someone like to make a motion for a choice of the 3?
I don't know. It's a tough one.
Have we satisfied Craig's concern about the budget and the park board? I mean, is there any need for further discussion on
Absolutely.
that?
Well,
I'm not satisfied because I don't know where the money's coming from.
well, my.
Other than we have 9 or 10 million in reserves, so I mean,
Yeah, we're
I think
talking
we
about,
need to
I'm not-
clarify this because we
not
talked
quite
about this
sure.
before, and just to say
if
we
this is
can
gonna
go
get,
wherever is
if
not
this
good.
gets kicked back, if this is coming out of the park board reserves or capital reserves, then I feel the park board should be part of this decision-making process, because this type of thing isn't even on our list of things we want to spend our money on right now for the park board.
yeah, I think that's a fair point, Craig, and
That's my concern.
the process, obviously, we don't have time to kick it back to the park board and have them talk about it, right? So it's only fair that we don't consider using their capital funds because they haven't been involved in the conversation. You have
Right.
capital funds, and, yeah, it's not, there's going to be stuff like this, I think Tracy's mentioned it a few times already today, but there's going to be stuff like this that comes up during this project that we didn't budget for. The budget is a tool that's really designed for understanding on an ongoing basis what our operating costs are. The capital budget for this project has most of the costs figured out, but not all of them. And this is one of them that we didn't have figured out until now. Now we know what the number is. We had an idea before that we might need to look at this, but we certainly haven't looked at a number. There will be more. We haven't talked about furniture for the building yet.
For
Yeah.
furniture and equipment.
We've
I know.
talked about a lot of equipment in the building, but not all of it, right? We've got the
Right.
refrigerators in the liquor store built into the budget, but we don't have shelving, not necessarily.
Right.
So there's going to be more things like this that come up that we didn't have a number for and won't have a number for a while, that we still have to do, right? And of course, we don't have to do this one. This is up to you to decide, but
Right.
There's just more coming, so be ready.
Makes me even more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, because frankly, I thought you'd already picked out your furniture and you had your numbers for that, and it was baked into this. That's a little surprising to me.
No, that
Those choices, your staff had already done this.
the design has an idea about how the building's going to be furnished. McGough doesn't do it though, so it's not in their number. You know, LHB will help us put a package together to buy the furniture that we need for it.
Mhm.
I see levy, levy.
In the end, that is where all the money comes from, right? This is property tax dollars you're spending. So we have a lot of different sources of revenue that we use to operate the city, but any choice you make to spend $1 is $1 you didn't have to levy. So there isn't any difference. Doesn't matter how we account for it. It's always that.
So do you need a motion to purchase a trailer, or do you need a motion to a different motion that will take care of or supply bathrooms for this summer while our building gets built?
We need a motion
Because it-
for the trailer because that's what we voted on.
Okay.
And we have 3 choices. So if someone would like to make a first motion on one of them.
Well, Hmm. It's a hard one, because the big one is more expensive, if we're gonna do a trailer. But it has a bigger volume, or a bigger tank. Would definitely cover a good portion of those porta potties that we would normally have out there. That, so we're trying to just, I know I'm just beating the horse here, but, you know, we're trying to solve the summer problem, this summer coming up.
Or longer.
Yeah. I mean, I do appreciate the buyback or selling an option, although we're not saying we have great facility at it, but it's something,
Yeah, I don't totally dismiss it.
yeah. I feel like I mean, I don't know. I mean, I also feel like I wasn't part of those earlier conversations about bathrooms, but I personally would prefer a permanent fix out there, something that we're gonna invest in and something that we'll have year over year, because I do worry that these trailers may not be built to last.
I
And-
would view this as temporary, and I think some point in the future we do, but part of that was hoping that maybe the Coast Guard building could be part of that. And I think we did talk about a toilet down there, but same thing, it'd be out and it was expensive.
Okay.
We didn't go anywhere, that's why we went this direction. But I agree with you, I think we all know long-term, but that could be a while.
Could be. I mean, we are here now. We could make that sooner, but for right now.
I'm sorry, not the Coast Guard.
Oh, got it. The, and I don't know, and why not just porta potty it up? Just say like, hey, we'll just do what we've done, we'll make it work.
Because we took a vote last week, and that's what we voted on. If you want to bring the whole thing back, then no. That's what votes are for.
Yeah, no, I know. I just,
So you don't have a particular,
I don't know. I think, you know, if that is what there is, I mean, I think the one with the buyback would be a better choice, especially if we're not sure. And it's bigger, so maybe capacity will be in our favor. So that would be the one would be leaning towards, I guess, for those two reasons.
well, at this point, it's a motion from somebody.
But a motion to table this conversation.
For what purpose?
So we're not getting anywhere. I don't think three people still want the trailer.
Time is of the essence, so what are we gonna do? If we kick this one more time, then we potentially lose what we're choosing.
There's no detail on the build quality of the portable trailers. The satellite specs everything down to the brand name of the fixtures and the material of the tank. The other one just tell you got a tank, 4 toilets, a handicap or however many, a cord, and a hose.
I think Jag did a pretty good job of speccing their quality, though. I think, I see what you're at, Bill, and just talking with the salespeople as well, like Jag's been recommended, and their proposal includes a lot of detail on the quality of their trailer.
And that was the, how many was that one again? How many?
The 3-stall with, for 86.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job explaining the roof structure and
Mhm.
floor structure,
Mhm.
frame, skin.
I'd expect they're nicer, they cost a lot more than the portable trailer system.
But the buyback, I guess.
We don't know about the pumping. That was sort of the thing.
Jag was recommended by Satellite, and it became apparent that their lead time was too long.
I was just trying to figure out, like, what percentage do you think you get if you sold it? You know, could you
I
get-
tried,
What did you, yeah.
it wouldn't commit.
I mean, we saw
Oh,
some
I
used
just meant
ones.
in general, like, you know, like,
Half.
did you get 40%?
Half, yeah, it sounds right.
So if we bought this at the 86, is that the one you're thinking of?
Either one, I was just
Either
wondering,
one,
what
yeah.
does that,
Yeah.
what does that look like, and then you spread
then
out
you
that over
depreciate.
a couple years, like, then really how much is it out of pocket? It isn't about, there's something to be said when you're kind of saying this, Mike, too. We can look at just how much money is being spent, but we can also look, which is what I've been trying to say, is what level of service are we going to provide to our larger community?
Yeah.
And how much are we going to step up to the plate on this? And so if in 2 years we sold it, if we got 40% of it, then how much out of pocket are we really on that? Plus what we're adding back, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
You know,
Something like that. And, 86, the 3-stall one sounds fine, but then sometimes, like, I think you say, like, if it isn't enough, it's only 3, and then it gets pumped a zillion more times, like, have we really done what we said we were gonna do, and have we, is the cost really gone up in relation to it, and then I think we've been kind of chewing that one around too. How it all turns out, so, those are the 2 things that go around in my head.
Well, I think with, I don't know, thanks for pointing that out, Bill, about the quality on that one. And I don't know, do we have any space for storing it when we take it out of there? Would it fit?
Yeah.
Out of the elements?
Inside?
Yeah.
No. So, I don't want to be too technical, but I think you should address the motion that Ben made and just check in and see if there's a second and take action on it.
I'll second Ben's motion.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, all in favor?
Roll call.
Oh, sorry, thanks,
No
Bill.
worries.
I'll start over here. Craig?
Yeah.
No?
No?
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
all right. So then, nothing. Thank you. Okay, on we go. Asbestos.
This was a nice placeholder just in case we had an action item for you, but we don't, so I'll just give you a brief update. When we tear a building down, we're required to get a permit from the MPCA, and one of the things you need to do to get that permit is show that you've investigated the building for potential contaminated items and that you've dealt with them. So I thought we were done investigating anyway, but we're actually having someone come up tomorrow to finish taking a few more samples. No surprise, there is asbestos in this building. When the building's been around for as long as this one, that's just expected. And it's in some strange and random places. There's some in some drywall compound. There's some in some tile mastic. There's some in a few tiles. And so we have contractor lined up to deal with that, but we don't have any action items for you to take that on, so. Next one, however, we do. So we sent around a contract earlier today.
Stop.
Oh,
So asbestos has to be dealt with.
yes.
We're having a special meeting for this. Is there like a ballpark? Can we just say what is there really to contemplate in this? You're not gonna go out and get multiple peoples, or are you?
Yeah, let's take a peek behind the curtain quick.
Just
If we had a
possibly
contract
deal
that we
with this.
needed authorized, that would take council action, and we would have brought it tonight at this meeting to do it. I don't see that we have a contract that we're going to need to have authorized to do this. We oftentimes will hire contractors to do work that we don't use a contract for that purpose, and then we don't necessarily bring it to council for action. So that's currently my understanding of how we're going to handle this. I don't have a ballpark for you. We hired the inspector that way, right? We didn't bring it to council for action because it didn't take a contract that we signed. So that's why it was on the list and why now it's like, sorry, we actually didn't need it on the list.
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't have to think about this later. We don't have to
Nope.
give you a whatever dollar
Nope,
amount.
I'm good to go.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. This one, we do have a contract. I emailed it around this morning. I understand that's super, super tight timeline, and if you haven't had a chance to read it, that's okay. We actually don't expect that you read it and understand it, because we're hoping that you're willing to rely on the city attorney's expertise on this matter. It's his service contract template that we used that's been modified and negotiated between him and the service provider. So I've read it, I'm satisfied with it, he's satisfied with it. We're asking you to approve it. There is a number in here, but this is actually a number that is based on an estimated amount of service. So if it's not in this paper one, I emailed it to you, it was 55,000, I think, is what was in there, and that pays for taking all the paper we got in this building and taking it out of this building and scanning the records that we want to keep and making a digital copy of them and then shredding everything. So a lot of the paper that they looked at when they prepared that estimate, we actually will just shred rather than scan. It didn't need to be kept as a record. But I don't know what the number's going to be yet. So what I'm really asking you to approve is the terms of service. And they've got a price list, and there's a contract that we've got. And I'm feeling pretty confident that that 55 number is going to be enough, but boy, it's hard to tell until they've gone through it. You know, there's a lot of handling charges that we've got some strange records that I'm not sure how exactly they're going to do their business. That's why we hired this company to handle it.
Yeah.
And just for scale, if you want to come pop over into the old fire garage and take a look at the pile of boxes we've got, it's something.
Yeah.
And they're scheduled to arrive next Monday, so
Yay.
it's a big step.
This would be nice to have done.
It's going to be terrific.
Yeah.
It's also another one of the things that is taking a lot of energy and effort on staff's part to understand how to operate in a new way, right? Because now we're trying to avoid using paper as much as possible. Evidence to the contrary at your meeting tonight. But that's the direction we're going is, okay, we don't want to have to do this in 30 years again where we've got another pile of boxes that need to be dealt with. We want to be able to have a system where our records are digitized right away. And this is not new practice. Many places have figured this out. So I'm confident we will as well. But it's new for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's just standard business practice these days, so.
Businesses often have different ideas about what records are for than cities do. We've got a rule book
People have complaints
this
because
big.
of the nature of their business and generate documents, but everyone's pretty much used to working online and organizing their paperwork. Most people don't expect to look at the piles of paper. So I think you guys will do really well.
I think we're going to do well too. It's just going to take a little time.
Yeah, I think this will be a huge success.
How scary getting rid of all the paper, huh?
It's also kind of fun to look at some of this stuff,
Oh, yeah.
you know? And, yeah, now everybody can look at it when it's digitized. Be easier for people to find whatever they want.
So,
So I was just trying to find my note again. Did that accidentally probably go to my personal too?
I don't think so. I sent it, so.
Thought I had it saved out.
Do you need a motion on this, Mike?
Just
to hire
to
this
authorize
firm?
approve the contract.
Okay. I would put a motion to approve the contract with E.O. Johnson.
I would second that.
Roll call. Craig.
Yes.
Aye. Aye.
Oh, sorry. Aye.
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 Wait, Bill, sorry.
Oops.
Aye.
He said.
Aye.
Ben. There we go. We did it
All
right.
right.
Thank you.
Got it.
So is that everything?
I think so.
That is it.
All right, we're adjourned. Everyone go eat dinner. This is probably past Craig's dinner hour.
Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Craig.
38.
Yep. Thank you.
Good night.